You little rotten keg tapper, no name having, looking ragged, lame rapper. You nut hugger, butt buddy fudge packer. Okay, enough of that. My real friends call me Asher. Laughter. What kind of name is that, bro, dude?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to 13 Minutes, everybody's favorite interview show. For this special quarantine episode, we are using Skype to talk with Black Wolf and the Thief. What's up, guys?
Oh, not much. Just feeding a baby.
Okay, so I see you pointing there. Who's Black Wolf? Who's the Thief? Because I wasn't fast enough to catch you.
No, that's all right. Most people get it wrong anyway. I'm Black Wolf.
I'm the thief.
Okay, what do you steal?
My heart.
Yeah, that's the cheesy
How
like
cute.
story behind our name.
Yeah.
His nickname was Black Wolf in college when he like wrote a song called Black Wolf, and then everybody just started calling him that because he's like, dark and brooding.
I kind of look like a wolf.
And then we started dating and also started the band around the same time. And I wanted to have like a cool name. We were kind of going with the grim fairy tale vibe, and it's always like the something and the something. So we did Black Wolf, and I like foxes, and I thought, like a fox and a wolf went well together. And then we decided to do the thief because I stole his heart.
Yeah. Foxes are normally thieves and fairy tales too, so we were just like, oh, this fits. And actually, we had this show once where our cash box, I lost the key or something.
Oh,
this was years. We'd been together for like 5 years or something. I lost the key to our cash box for our merch table.
And I broke into it with a pair of
She
scissors.
picked it with a pair of scissors. I was like, oh, all right. That's pretty impressive.
When
That's my name.
Becomes the truth. That's
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. How did you guys you guys met in college then?
No, we actually met at our church. He works. Sorry, Boaz needs to be a part of this apparently.
That's cool. The more the merrier, for sure.
He gets upset if he's not included in everything, all things band. No, we actually met at our church. It was a church I grew up in. He works there as the music director. And we just kind of started talking because we were like the only two people our age that go to that church.
Yeah, still.
And still. And we started hanging out, and we both did music. So we did like open mic nights and stuff. And we were like, hey, let's be in a band together.
Yeah. And then the first year of our relationship, she was on tour with this group called Recreation USA. That's a really awesome group. They're like a missions group that they perform at churches and they perform at different events like fairs and things like that. But their main thing is that they perform at veterans facilities, VA medical facilities and hospitals and stuff.
Yeah, so it's like a full song and dance show for veterans.
Yeah. So while she was doing that, obviously we weren't in a band together. And then as soon as she got back, we got together and got some musicians together and started doing the thing. It was very different when we first started. It was a totally different band.
For a while, it was just us.
Yeah.
And so we were doing like a lot of like jazz and like more classical type stuff. Really, once we got a drummer, we were like, okay, we're gonna move on from that.
Right. My original vision was more like a lot of like crazy piano stuff. Like more like on a classical-ish kind of thing, and it'd just be the two of us, and then like she said, we kind of got a drummer, and we were like,
I like being loud.
we like playing loud.
Well, who's the drummer then? Is it your baby boy there?
Yep, this little guy right here. He's got pretty good rhythm on the maracas and everything. No, our drummer right now is Jason Dedek, a good friend of mine, and he's been with us for a few months, something like that. I think.
Yeah.
I can't really remember.
Well, it's hard because we haven't really been able to play any shows.
Yeah, pretty
so
much.
It's hard what is time?
Yeah, we had this baby and stopped playing, obviously, for a little while. We were playing a ton right before he was born. And then he was born, and we took a hiatus for a little while, and then we came back. And then COVID-19 hit, and we haven't really played since. So
we got one show
We got one show in. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Jason's been with us for a little while. We've been through, we've had 3 separate drummers.
So like you guys stay together, but then you just keep breaking up with your drummers.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's more our drummers keep breaking up with us.
Yeah,
but-
that is really what it. Yeah.
But yeah.
Really terrible. I'm bad at breaking up with one person, and your drummers break up with two people at once.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. Yeah,
it's rough. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I mean,
about
in
us.
both, it's because no, it's all good, man. I appreciate your sentiment, but both of them were doing something that was really good for them.
Yeah,
so
it
good,
was legitimate reasons.
They were
it wasn't
both
just like
both reasons they quit were like they had another career opportunity that was really awesome, and so we couldn't be like, you don't want to play with us, man? Come on, for the glory. You can't really do that. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I really like the story that, and especially because Black Wolf and the Thief. It sounds to me like a book, like some kind of fairy tale or story. So now you guys have a nice story to match the cool name. It seems like you guys are very like multi-talented or something. I keep seeing a lot of different videos of you doing different things, both of you. What instruments do you each both play? Like, what do you guys do when you're jamming?
Yeah, why don't you start?
So normally I would just sing, but I also do play the flute. So one day we were like, oh, that would be cool to like do, since we don't have a guitarist, it would be cool to do flute solos instead of guitar solos for some songs. And then we just kind of ran with that. So I don't do it a whole lot, but especially right now, since we're not doing shows, we're doing Facebook Live concerts every Sunday called Live from the Laundry Room, because it's literally in our laundry room. And so I've been trying to play a lot more things just because it has been the two of us. So I've been playing a lot more flute there. And I apparently recently started doing auxiliary percussion, so like shakers, tambourine, and stuff like that. Which I used to not be able to sing and do that kind of stuff at the same time, but I've kind of been forcing myself to do that with Live from the Laundry Room. So I play a variety of baby percussion instruments.
That's all we have. We don't actually have any.
Yeah, we don't have a real tambourine or like real shakers.
Yeah. So it's
I
kind
just
of a
play
gimmick,
his
but
toys.
it's like not really a gimmick. We really don't have.
And we're like
else.
talking about, oh, when we gig again, like I should do auxiliary, and I'm like, yeah, but I think I need to keep playing the baby toys because that's all I'm comfortable with now.
I think it would be cool. I'm sure nobody's ever really done it before. That would definitely be very, very unique, you know.
They have really cool sounds. I mean, they're different than like a real instrument sound. So it brings
Different
something new to the table, you know.
And I'm mainly a pianist. I do also play bass guitar, and drums, and I sing. I obviously don't really do very many of those with the group.
Yeah, but on your keyboard, you do bass and you do synth too.
But we model our sound after the Doors a little bit. So I do the Ray Manzarek thing where I actually have, whenever we play live, I have a bass, like key bass, running through an actual bass amp, and then the keys like running through a different amp. So we do that thing, and I think being a bass player actually really helped me do that as well, because I was able to like think about what actually makes sense. One of my biggest complaints about the Doors is that their bass lines suck, because it's like, oh, this is a piano player playing bass line.
You can't actually play this on a bass guitar.
This is like almost impossible to play on a bass guitar. So like, why would you do that? So, but yeah. So I mean, I do quite a bit, and I sing too. Actually, yeah. So we do sing a lot, both together. So.
I like how you say you model yourselves after the Doors. I could certainly see the influence. But if you told people that, it might be a little misleading as far as if they were trying to figure out what your music sounded like before they were going to listen.
I say that all the time.
It's a very, very unique and original style. I really like your guys' music.
Thank
That's
you.
so much, on the show. I remember I ran into you, brushed past you briefly for a second at West Side Bowl once. And then I looked up your music, and I was like, oh my gosh. So, tell people what kind of music you make, explain to someone who hasn't heard it before.
It's a lot.
Like the hardest question to
Yeah,
answer.
we're just like so original. It's so hard.
No, but I do say that all the time, that like he often likes to say like, oh, because people ask that, like, what does your music sound like, or what kind of band would you compare yourself to? And it is easy to say the Doors because there's only 3 of us and he does the key bass thing. But I always say like, but we don't sound like the Doors. That's totally misleading. As far as like what other bands we might sound like, I would say like MGMT, Animal Collective, Glass Animals type vibe, because there's a lot of like electronic stuff happening, but there's also a lot of like, I guess people always want to say it's jazzy, so I guess it's jazzy. Maybe it's just because you
definitely has like a really old school vibe. It's certainly jazzy, bluesy,
yeah,
for sure.
But like it has like a weird, hard, heavy electronic edge to it as well. I think that's why it's so hard to describe, because I don't know that there's one genre that I can be like, this is what we do, because I don't know that it's rock. I wouldn't say that it's pop. I mean, it's not straight jazz. It's not straight electronica. Yeah. I don't know, but it's a little bit of all of those things.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and if I talk about like my influences, because we share songwriting responsibilities pretty evenly, and it depends. I mean, you know, I'm definitely a really big believer in the evolution of the artist. So like our first album is very, very heavily influenced. I think if anybody was listening to The Pioneer, it's definitely really heavily influenced by Bon Iver.
Yeah.
Especially from like a songwriting, maybe it doesn't like actually sound, but like from a songwriting standpoint, it is. You know, I'm a big fan of writing songs that don't actually have choruses. That it's just like here's these 3 sections that happen one after the other.
Yeah, there's not a lot of choruses.
There aren't
on the first
any.
album.
Like, there's no hooks anywhere. You know, bring the hooks in where the bass at. You know what I mean? Champagne spilling, you can taste that. Oh, anyway. But then our second album,
do that.
Okay. You're embarrassing me. Oh my lord. Anyway,
I'll make that money.
No, you don't.
Okay.
But our second album, which we haven't released yet, but we've released, we have 3 singles on Spotify right now, and what we've been playing out recently is a lot heavier and you know much more of the MGMT. You know, maybe even a little 9 Inch Nails kind of thing going on. I think
not too much.
Not a lot of that, but a little bit of that.
A little.
Going on. And then, yeah, everybody always says that we're jazzy. And I mean, my piece on that, I think, is because I play the piano. So they're just immediately like, it sounds like jazz.
Well, it's not Billy Joel, so it must be jazz.
It must be jazz. But I mean, you know, I used to get like real ticked off about that. But really, I mean, I do use a lot of jazz harmonies. I don't just play like, you know, triads and stuff all the time. I'm always like playing extended harmonies. So I actually
like the rock thing, just like the
yeah. So I get it. It definitely does have like a more like a jazz or R&B kind of feel. So that was a really long answer to a very simple question.
The longer the better on this show, honestly, because especially if you guys give me like an opportunity where I could take a nap while you're
right. Yeah.
I would be forever grateful.
I like your style.
Interview ever. So, you know, fucking ramble on. You can talk about whatever you want on this show, I promise. And I know the viewers will be as well. What's the writing process like for you guys?
That's changed over the
and
over
it
time.
Varies, I feel like.
Yeah, it varies
too.
from song to song. It used to be, in the beginning, it was she wrote lyrics, I wrote music, and we would kind of come together right now over me.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like.
You wear no shoe shine.
Yeah.
He got toe jam football.
Exactly. And we would just kind of, you know, stop. She would have like a. Stop it. She would have like a. Oh man, no.
All right, I'll stop.
Please. But anyway, what I'm saying to you is, she would write lyrics and like poetry and stuff. And then I would just take it and I'd be like, oh, I have this idea that I think fits this vibe here. Or I'd even be playing something and she'd be like, oh, I wrote this thing that sounded like that. And that's how we did it for a while. And, you know, it was mostly.
That's how a lot of the first album
good.
is. Yeah.
You know, we definitely had a lot of creative differences, which means fights.
Yeah. It does.
You know, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, you have no idea.
A lot of fights.
We're both very like stubborn about this is how it needs to be.
Well, because we're both very passionate about. Can you?
Yeah.
You can't have the chord.
And then you met at the middle in like the perfect sound. Honestly, I believe.
Oh, thanks.
You guys have collided, and what came out of it is awesome.
It took, I would say, years figuring out how to work together. Actually, which sounds crazy because like we're married, so like we know how to work together in a lot of other like ways.
Who's in charge?
Yeah.
Me.
No, you're not.
So I would say
We all know the answer. I just wanted to ask.
No, I think
if we no, I think if
Well,
we're going to
no.
be really honest and transparent, which is
That's
the
the theme
thing
of the
right
week.
now, theme of the week right now. I definitely do more of, I think, what would be called maybe like the grunt work involved in the
Yeah.
band generally. As far as
Like
writing and
musically.
everything, musically, like making everything happen and stuff like that. But she's like the
I'm just gonna put that way over
basically she's like the editor. She's the final word on everything, with a lot of stuff, because she's just so much, and truly she's so much better at, like, I hate to say this is so stupid, but like the branding thing, I mean, and like packaging
No,
it.
it's not dumb. That's actually, for people that are watching this interview, the 1 or 2 people that'll watch my show, actually, branding is extremely. I'm just kidding. We get more viewers than that.
Yeah.
there.
It's
We
all
joke
good,
around
man.
about that kind of stuff all the time. Don't worry.
But no, branding is very important, people. Extremely. I
Oh,
cannot
yeah.
knock the hustle that is branding. So you don't have to downplay it or.
Yeah, I mean, it's a necessary evil, but I mean, if you do it right, I feel like it really helps. It's a really important thing, and she's just much better at that than I am, and so I definitely, I guess, like, I do more of the work, but like I said, I mean, she's like the editor, so she's like, oh, this works, this doesn't. Oh no, everything sucks. We hate everything. Go to my thing.
And like, sorry, being in a band with a baby, that's our new
Yeah.
hashtag.
And that's one.
Yeah, I used to only do words, and now I've been a little bit more able to like write melodies and actually have an idea of like musically what I want to happen behind those words. I'm not always excellent at articulating what I want, because like he went to music school and has 2 degrees, and I dropped out of music school and have 0 degrees. So like a lot of times we're not able to communicate like at the same level. Like I know what I'm talking about, I just don't know how to articulate it the same way that he might. So that's
those kind of because they know how to explain the way they like feel, and
yeah.
it's cool, honestly.
Thanks, man.
These nerds, yeah, for sure.
It's funny though too, because sometimes like he'll be trying stuff and he'll like play a certain chord or like move it somewhere, and he'll be like, "What do you think about that?" And I'll just be like, "I don't know, music school, like sounds a little pretentious." And so, we kind of balance each other
Very
out.
pretentious.
Yeah. He's gotten a lot better with the knowing that I'm gonna think it's pretentious kind of thing and not even trying it. So.
Do you guys know, this is like the fun fact of the day, that you featured my 6th grade English teacher as a saxophone player on one of your songs?
Oh, Tim Harker?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
As soon as I saw that name, I was like, why does that sound so familiar? And then I looked him up on Facebook, and I was like, that was my English teacher.
In 6th grade. That's awesome. Yeah, he's like the best saxophone player in the area. It's unbelievable.
I didn't know that at all. Shout out to my 6th grade English.
Well, and when we originally wrote that song, we didn't have the saxophone part in it, but he was at one of our shows, and we were like, "Hey, did you bring your horn?" And he did, thankfully. And we're like, "Hey, just come up and jam on this one. Like, I think it would be really cool to have saxophone." And he did, and we were both like, "We can never play this song without Tim Harker ever again." Like
the
it.
song wasn't actually finished.
Yeah, the song wasn't even actually finished like for the album. So we were like, okay, well, Tim has to be on it for the album, because we could never hear this without Tim now. It's just not the same.
That is so cool. That's really cool, honestly. You guys prefer dine-in or takeout?
Like food?
Yeah, like food.
Like food. Do you prefer dine-in or takeout? I know what my answer is.
I like dine-in.
Okay, that's what I thought. So he prefers dine-in, but honestly, I prefer takeout. Like, not gonna lie here, this whole having to stay at home thing is totally my jam. So a lot of times we'll talk about going out to get food, and like the thought of having to put on real clothes and like do my hair and like be around other people is really daunting. So I often am like, can we just get takeout and bring it home? And now like we have to do that. So I'm pretty okay with that. But that's just me.
Okay. All right. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a lazy day every day.
Thank you. That's totally my life. So it's a little bit harder with the baby, but I try. I did take a nap before this, actually.
If you could have, I would have. I'm telling you guys, if you just want to talk for the next 5 minutes and let me sleep on the side over here.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
I'll do my best.
So no, I noticed that you guys brought it up a little bit earlier. I see that you have this really cool jam room set up at your house called the laundry room, and
Yeah.
I want to know a little bit more about that. How did you wind up in the laundry room?
Well, actually, we used to live somewhere else, and we had talked about like, oh, it would be really sweet if we had like our own space. We didn't really have a good space for rehearsals, and so we had talked about actually like dropping a ton of money and remodeling the basement to include like a real music space, but that ended up being a lot more expensive than we thought.
Expensive.
We knew it was going to be expensive, but it was like crazy. So we were like, oh, maybe not. And then I just like had a bug in my head that I wanted to live in a different house after that, because I was like, well, I don't like this house now because it can't be what I want it to be. So let's go looking for houses. And then we found the house we're in now, which we absolutely love. And that was one of the things when we were looking for houses, is we were specifically looking for a space that we could turn into a music space. And
yeah,
so,
just like a plug and play, like you could just sit down.
Yeah, and we could like,
because that was the thing at the old house, and probably a lot of people who do the music thing have this. It was like we had to retrofit. Oh, this is our living room. Let me kick this out.
Yeah, let's move the couch and take the coffee table
bring
out.
all these people in here. I
Yeah.
wanted something where we could just, you just sit down, everything's ready to go. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. So we were specifically looking for that, and the basement of our house was just really pretty perfect for that. And it's the laundry room side of it. We have like a finished side and then an unfinished laundry room side. And that's the side that had the space that we decided to make the rehearsal space. So that's or the jam space, whatever you want to call it. So we were just like, oh, we'll just laundry room. And we like decked it out with like really cheesy like Hobby Lobby signs that are like loads of fun, the laundry room, and like just random miscellaneous instruments that we have that may or may not work, and various weird old pieces of art, if you want to call it art. Some of it's just weird. And then I have a crazy mug collection from when I was in that group recreation. We went the group goes to all 50 states. I went to like 30 some when I was in the group, and I got a mug from every state and every like if I went to a cool place in the state. So I have like an Arizona mug, but I also have Grand Canyon mug and like
Mall of America.
A Mall of America mug and like all kinds of, and so obviously we have way more mugs than
I saw them.
Any two people need. It's so many mugs. That's not even, those are just the ones we don't drink coffee out of. Oh. We have a whole cabinet full of coffee mugs up in the kitchen that are like our drinking mugs. And then there are also some cool mugs.
Big old Tupperware.
We have like a big giant rattlesnake mug that's on the piano in the living room or the dining room. And then, we also have a big giant bin. I just went crazy. We have a big giant bin of mugs in storage that are like the not on display.
The rejects.
The rejects. Cool, the mug rejects. But we actually thought it would be really cool, like someday, lofty,
when we're famous,
lofty dreams, when we're famous, to do a thing, because we made mugs for one of our singles, Love Song for Evelyn. And so we thought it would be cool for like the rest of the stock we have of those to do a mug for a mug type deal. So if people like go someplace cool,
or just live somewhere that we don't,
or just live somewhere that we don't have a mug from or something like that, if they wanted to buy us a cool souvenir mug, we would send them a Love Song for Evelyn mug in exchange. So someday, I don't think it's wise to do that yet because I don't want anybody to like be running out to go buy mugs or go to the post office or anything. But like, stay home, guys. But
Don't run anywhere. Be careful. Unless you have health insurance, do not be running.
yeah, yes.
That's the most important lesson of the day.
Ugh.
But a final thought about the laundry room actually for me too is that I
Oh
feel
yeah, sorry, I
like,
went off on a tangent.
no,
about the
you're
mugs.
good, you're good. No, part of the reason that I was so sold on it because originally it was always going to be on the laundry room side, but we were going to like remodel it, like make it look nice. It was in my head I was going to do that somehow. I don't know, with all the handyman experience that I have. But anyway,
Same.
you see like all these bands on social media and YouTube, these cats from LA, and like everything's always perfect and wonderful, and they're like, they got these like bomb music spaces and stuff, and I was just like, I don't know, I just felt like, one of the things that's really near and dear to my heart, I'm a huge local history buff, especially like we live in Warren, and I'm like all about like Warren history and stuff. And one of the really great things I think about Northeast Ohio generally, as much as people complain about it, is that like, if you go back, like I'm going to get real nerdy for a second, but you go back to like the founding of the Western Reserve, which is what we're part of, man. The people who were like the pioneers that were here were always just like tough, like people, I guess, for lack of a better term, herka durka durka, whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but and it was just kind of like always like that blue collar thing and, perseverance and stuff. And I was like, no, this is super cool. This is my laundry room. Like, I'm just a regular dude. I just happen to make music. Like, I'm not a wizard. I'm not like this amazing, like, oh, I'm so cool. It's like, dude, I'm just like anybody else. Like, I just happen to have a music space and like make music in my basement. That's the only difference. So I thought, I kind of was like, yeah, screw it. Why would I try to make myself look like this perfect, awesome thing? And,
Ooh,
I am perfect.
I just prevented myself from going down the social media, honesty and transparency rabbit hole. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, that was part of it too.
I think the most important thing that I got out of the last part of that was that it would be really fucking cool to be a wizard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I did really like the really nice, heartfelt answer about just having your music space. But also, I would like to be a wizard. On that note, I'm Goon. They are Black Wolf and the Thief. Make sure you check out their music wherever you check out music, because I'm sure it's there. It's what people do these days. And for some reason, you just watched another episode of 13 Minutes.
Got to come.